Hello, my name is David Patton, and this is my presentation on 12 Years a Slave about for our fourth project. My partner Nicholas Nick will be presenting his presentation over Birth of a Nation, and we will be pretty much saying the same things. In comparison, we will be saying the same thing. So, without further ado, here is my presentation and the first slide. How this filmed, this slide is about how this ideas on slavery has changed over time since the 80s. Or even less if you might, or even more or less, around near the 80s or more. It shows how much it has changed because they used to show that the slaves were not normally shown as being abused, being treated badly, being hit, or anything. They showed them being happy and proud and everything. It really shows that how, like, over time, it's changed to where they've finally decided to say, hey, the slaves back then, around the Civil War time and before that, they were beaten bad. They were beaten, they were hurt, they were chained up, they were hurt, not happy. It shows that, well, another one of the ideas is that they showed in this film that blacks from the North were caught from the North and sent back down to the South, even if they weren't runaway slaves. They showed here that people were badly accused of being runaway slaves, even though when they were not. This shows how bad we were. And that the Southerners abused it. They sent people up there to kidnap, freed black people that had no connection with slavery. It also showed that, okay, in like the past movies that we have watched in this class, it shows slaves not being bothered if they've been freed or not. And they are more than happy to serve their masters. This one, it shows at the end that he was mentally relieved and he was scarred after all those years of being a slave and falsely accused of being a runaway. And now, that is all I have to say on this slide. On to the next one, which we will talk about the institutions. Okay, now these institutions is not like one that you get taught or learned at. This one is these are darker ones, basically. It talks about like but people they showed no happiness in the slaves in this movie. As in showed in like maybe Gone with the Wind, or showed the slaves there being happy and proud to be slaves, they were happy to be them. But there was nothing shown here. There was shown only sadness because people were saddened because they've been separated from their families. They knew their families were being killed or slaughtered by Southerners for whoever knows how bad it was. This whole film mostly showed the big gigantic abusive side of slavery and how they were treated. They were whipped until they couldn't stand. As shown by the woman who was tied up, stripped, and beaten not beaten, but whipped. You could see how much welts were left. It broke the skin. She could barely stand. Also, like as in the first house that our main character was at, he was accused of being stupid, and the guy asked him, "Are you a slave or are you an engineer?" That was insulting him, our main character, and calling him stupid, basically. There was no showing of education suppression, hence why they showed that he was smart and intelligent and proving and outsmarting some of these slave owners. He was outsmarting them many a time. And now on to my next slide. Third slide. Adapting to freedom. The main character was at the beginning and end, he was happy and cheerful. He was with his family. He had children that were young and that he wanted to care for. He knew that he was free. He had freedom, and that he never had to work a day in his life. No, he didn't have to work. After going, it shows that I think he said that he was once in slavery before a short while, and then he was freed. But after going back and being a slave for 12 years, when he got home, he was joyed. He was overly joyed, overwhelmed, happy to be back. He wanted nothing more than just to stay with his family. He was afraid to ever step foot back into slavery again. He never wanted to go back or be taken away again. Another thing is that slaves adapting to freedom. They were happy to finally make families, get married, have kids. They were absolutely no words to describe how happy they were, probably, with being freed. Finally being freed from slavery. And that they had overwhelming things. I guarantee you, every day that went by, there wasn't a day they didn't ask to be finally out of their shackles. Anyway, on to our last and final slide. Comparisons to our after slavery clip. That is linking to this more from the 90s to the present more. The civil rights statements that was being stated in this film is that black people have equal rights. We should see this and start doing right by them. We as white people here, a lot of the white people that are around the United States, a lot of them still don't show any kind of respect towards black people, and still show discrimination and inequality towards them. If someone wants to get a job and you're just start accusing them of what they're going to be doing wrong, and they're actually a really good worker, that is showing discrimination and inequality. As for when a white person comes in, submits an application, you automatically give them the job, that's being racist. And if you do that right in front of of a black person, that's beyond horrible of what you just did, after he had just done the same thing that I had done. So a lot of this showed that was making at the beginning and end, that showing and telling that blacks have just as much right as we do. That is what it was saying. So with that, this is how I want to leave this, and I thank you for watching my video, and And also have thank you and bye.